Hey guys, in this video what I wanted to go over was finding the equation between 2 points on a given coordinate plane, and what we're going to be doing is actually investigating how to find the algebraic equation of the line that will go through 2 given points. So if you look right here, what I actually already have is 2 given points on a coordinate plane, and point B is at the coordinate 2, 3, and point A is at the coordinate 6, 4. What we're going to do is end up finding what is the equation of this blue line that passes through both of them. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just make a general note over here over what the coordinates actually are so that we don't really need to use that picture there. And then what we're going to do is actually move into the idea of using the formula for the equation of a line. Now you should already recall from your math in 8th or 7th grade that the equation of a line always follows a standard form of y equals mx plus b. Now recall that m right here is going to be the slope of the line that goes between points A and B. And then this lowercase b in the formula actually stands for the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept is going to be a little bit trickier to find in this case because if you notice, the y-intercept on this blue line doesn't fall anywhere on the grid tick marks. So what we're actually going to have to do is find the values for slope first. And that's actually something that I would always recommend you start off with, is always start with finding whatever the slope of the line is. So if we start by finding the slope of this line, we can remember from our previous math classes that slope is going to be y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. Now it doesn't matter which x or y value you use so long as they always come from the same spot. So for example, if I use point A as the x1 and y1, what's going to happen here is this is actually going to show me that I'm going to end up having 4 over 6. Now, notice that the y2 has to come from your other point. Well, my other point's y value is 3, so it's going to be 4 minus 3 up top, and then minus 2 on the bottom. Well, looking at how this will work out here, I get 4 minus 3 on the top, which is a positive 1, over 6 minus 2, which is a positive 4, which means that this whole slope right here has a slope of 1 over 4, or 1/4. Notice also that slopes do not contain any kind of a unit. That is very, very important for us to remember. Now, once you find your slope, what we're going to do is go back up to the idea of using our formula and rewriting it. Well, this time, though, instead of using the m inside of the slope formula, I'm going to use the actual number value that we found from step 1, which was the slope. So we know that m is going to be a value of 1/4. We do not have a value for x, nor do we have a value for b. Now what we can do is we can use either of the points A or B to use either values for x and y, because remember, every coordinate point that we see, no matter how it's expressed, will always be done where this is the x value and this is the y value. So I could either use the x and y from point A or the x and y from point B. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a moment and do step 3, which is substituting in x and y, and then I want you to take a moment, pause the video, and try to do this on your own at first. When you're ready, click play again, and you'll actually see the entire values of x and y plugged back in. So you'll see at this point, what I've done is I've actually used the coordinate point B, and I've plugged in the x and y value from point B. So the y value that was here in step 2 actually gets the y value from B, which had the value of 3, and then I just used the 1/4, which was our slope, and then brought down the value of 2 from the x part of that coordinate and plugged it in. Notice this lowercase b does not have any kind of value yet because we do not know what the y-intercept is. Well, if we go forward and just start using our general mathematics on both the left-hand side of the equation in step 3 and on the right-hand side of the equation in step 3, what we're actually going to end up getting is no need for the parentheses here on the left-hand side, so we just have 3. Well, looking at the right-hand side, we know that we have to deal with multiplication first. So 1/4 times 2 is going to give us 2 over 4 plus b. Simplifying this fraction down right here from 2 over 4 to just be 1/2, what we can see now is that we have the equation of b plus 1/2 equals 3. What we ultimately need to do is try and get this variable b by itself. So if we isolate this variable, what we're going to end up having to do is actually come and subtract 1/2 from the right-hand side. But knowing that we subtract it from the right-hand side, that means we also have to do the same from the left-hand side. So looking at what the resulting equation here is going to give us once we do that is going to be 3 minus 1/2 is going to give us 2 and 1/2 is equal to b. Notice right here, these two values just cancel out solely because they are inverse values of each other. One's a positive, one's a negative, so they just simply add out to 0. So looking at this, we now have a value of b is equal to 2 and 1/2. Knowing that, what we can actually do is take that idea of what b is and plug it back into this equation that we have in step 2. And that's actually our fourth step. So looking at what step 4 says to do, remember step 4 takes both step 2 and step 3 and puts them all together. So what we end up getting is y is equal to 1/4 x plus, and then we used what we found in step 3 right here for b. We found out that b was 2 and 1/2. So when you go through this 4-step process, remember the first thing that you always want to do is find the slope of the 2 points that you were given, then use the general equation of y equals mx plus b. Don't forget to plug in your value for the slope, which will give you an equation that'll look similar to this. Once you have that value, you take one of your points, either A or B, and pick the x and y and plug them in wherever you see y and x. Once you have that general setup, do any multiplication that you might need to do, and isolate the variable b. That will give you your y-intercept. Plug that in for b and rewrite the full equation using steps 2 and step 3 so that you get the entire equation that gives you the standard equation of a point through 2 lines.